Hello class. This video is for chapter 5, which basically is about tabs and tables. Tab and table are very important function of InDesign. At first, it may look tedious to you, but whether or not you can really use InDesign professionally can be taught by whether or not you can use tabs and tables professionally or not. So I would say a tab and tables is a very important function technique in InDesign. Today we actually talk about how to use tabs and tables by doing some exercise. Let's talk about the tabs first. Before we talk about how to do tabs, let's download some materials so that we can do those exercises. Again, you need to go to the syllabus and the information tab on the Blackboard, click this link, and then you will see the supporting website for textbook. I'm already select chapter 5 here, and then you can see this is the student handout. If you click this artwork and resources, download it, you will have the basic materials downloaded to your computer. I've already downloaded it here, so let's look at it. Chapter 5, artwork and resources. Let's open tab demo. It asks that there are some missing fonts, which means the fonts that has been contained in the original document, but my computer does not have those kind of fonts, so I have to say OK. If you want to find the fonts, you can find the fonts. Now those are the materials that we're going to use to create the tabs and to do the tag exercises. You want to put your name here. Whenever there's a place for you to put your name there, you want to put your name on your project. And in order to tab is a function that it can align the text. You may wonder, we already know how to align the text by using those align functions. But those alignment functions are the functions that you can use to the whole document. What if you just want to align a line or two lines of text, or just several lines of text? In that case, tabs will be a very good way to do it. In InDesign, if you want to make your tab work, you have to have two things work together. First is a tab key, which means you put your cursor somewhere and then press tab on the left upper corner of your keyboard, and then you will see a tab sign, particularly when you call out the heading characters. So you can see that right now we already have a tab sign here. Delete it, press tab, it show up again. We have tab sign here, tab sign here, tab sign here, tab sign here, here, and this is, you already know, that's the paragraph sign, heading character for the paragraph sign. This is also the heading character of the paragraph sign. This is the end of story sign, which means this story here in this document is done in this position. So we already have the tab signs here, but when you look at the text, they're not aligned up, because when you use tab to align the text, you have to have two things. One, you have to have the tab signs tabbed. Secondly, you need to have a tab stop sign. So since we are going to work on this text here, you have two ways to select. If you just work on one line, you select this line. If you want to work with those text, you select all of those text. If you're working on the story, you can also select the story. Like right now, text frame is selected. That means the whole story is selected. And then press Shift Command T. Shift Command T. You copy. This is the tab stop panel. Tab stop panel. Okay, when you call the tab stop panel can be anywhere in the screen. So remember, do one thing. Click this magnet, then it will automatically jump to the right position. You have to do it, otherwise the following work will not work out. So anyway, when the tab stop panel is anywhere, you just click the magnet sign, it will jump to the right position. Normally is the upper part of the text. But you need to make sure that you have enough space left above the text frame. For example, if the text frame is here and you click it, it cannot jump to over there because there's no enough space. So you need to either make your screen smaller, or you need to move the document a little bit so that there's enough space left for this tab stop panel to be jumped over there. Once you have the tab stop panel jumped to the position, then you can click. Now I have something here already, which I do not want it right now. I don't know why it's there, but I do not want it right now. I want the panel to be clean. You already have some. This is what we call tab stop. It's not governing this document right now, so it's not working. So let's clean it. Clean all. And nothing here. Now let's create some new tab stop sign. So you just put your cursor above this line on the ruler of the tab stop panel and then click it. And see, we create this is what we call a left tab stop, because it will make all the text align left. And then you move the position of this sign. Oh, I actually accidentally drag it off. So when you move it, let's Command Z, put it back. When you move the position of this line, you need to be careful. Your cursor do not go outside of this area. Otherwise, you simply make this tab stop sign disappear, which means you remove it, you delete it. So you move it carefully wherever you move it, and then the text will be aligned just right on this tab stop sign. Of course, you can also put a exact value here to put it in the position that you want it to be. So let's see, I want to be at 4 inch right now. It says invalid value because I have 2 inch. So why not I just put this as 4. It looks like it doesn't work. Maybe the value is not right. Okay. So 1 inch. Select the tab stop sign and then put it as 0.5 inch. Okay, this is 0.5 inch. If you change this into 1 inch, then the text will be aligned here. So for instance, if you change it into 1 inch, then the text will be aligned here. It's not a very good choice. So let's get it back to 0.3 inch again. That's here. So again, this tab stop sign will govern this column of tabs. You have to insert the tabs first, and then insert the tab stop sign here, so that it will govern here. And you will notice that here the text not really aligned well because we do not have a tab stop sign here. So we can add another one. Put your cursor here, click, and then we add another live tab stop sign here. So you see the text will be covered along this line. Also, if you want to move it, you can move it to 2 inch, and so the text will be aligned to the 2-inch line. Again, this is live tabbed stop sign. If you change it into red tabbed stop sign, then it will be different. For example, if we select this one and then change it into this is a red justified tab sign, and you will see that the text will be red justified. You cannot see it here because there's no enough space here. If you move this thing to this position, and you will see now the text is also aligned up, but it's not aligned up on the right end. On the other hand, it's aligned up on the, it's not on the left end, but it's on the right end because this is a left justified tab sign. It still governs this column of tabs, but it just to make it aligned up on the right. You can also make it aligned up on the center. For example, if we want, let's say, if we want the text to be aligned on this, centralized on this position, you can move the tab sign to this position, and then change it into a centralized. This is called a centralized justified type, and then you will see this column of type. This column of text is again centralized. So for now, let's change it into live justified. This is called a live justified tab again. Okay, that's the fundamental of tabs. Remember that first you need to have the tab signs and the tab justification signs, or what we call the tab stop signs, on the tab panels to work together to align the text up. We have 4 types of tab stop signs. We have left justified tab stop sign, center justified, right justified, and this is aligned to the decimal. This is a very useful function. We're going to see it soon. And also remember that before you insert the tab stop signs, you need to click the magnet so that the tab panel can jump to the right position. So that's the first exercise. Let's go back to 100 view percentage so that we can work on the second one. Second one, if you look at the textbook for the completed project, we do not work on the overall document, so we do not select the text frame, because if you select the text frame, you will align all the text in this document in the same way. Now we do not want to do that. On the other hand, if you look at the finished work on page 123 of the textbook, you will see that for the first 3 lines, move it to the other position so that they can see it. For the first 3 lines, we do not do anything about them because they are in the right position already. But for the 4th line, we need to move align this part, from here to here, this part to the right. So we need to insert a tab sign here. Again, remember that the heading characters are already called out, and if you do not want to see the heading characters, you have to go to I should be in a tab heading characters, but in that way you can work on tabs So you have to normally you have to get these heading characters out. It's Command Shift Command I. So we put a cursor here, insert a tab. You see this sign, this is the tab sign, and then that's the fifth the fourth line. The fifth line we needed to red justify this line, so insert a tab here, and we select those two and click here so that it can move to the right position. Then we add this is a left justified type. We change it into a right justified type. So now you can see that the fourth line and the fifth line are just looking at like the finished work in the textbook. And then we work on the rest three lines. We want to centralize them, so we again needed to insert a tab here, insert a tab here, and insert a tab here. Select the three lines and insert this is a right justified type, change it into center justified type. So these three lines are done. And the next two lines we have to insert two tabs, because some of the text need to be centralized, some of the text need to be read. Well, actually we need two tabs, so we insert a tab here because this line will be in the middle, and then a tab here. Here same thing, we insert a tab here and a tab here. And then for the rest, we can insert a tab in front of the numbers because the numbers are in one line. Okay, there's a space. You can see a space dot, don't need it, so take it off. And select everything. Insert the first tab. And when you look at the textbook, that's actually a red type. So we just change it into red type, move it into the red position. Let's see along with the 6, okay? And see this line is lined up. All the tabs in this column is lined up here. But the second line is still not lined up. So we need to select these lines and insert another one. Let's say here. So to make sure that they are all lined up with the first two lines. So it looks exactly like the finished exercise 2. And that's how you work with the tabs. Now let's look at the third exercise. This time we need to work on the whole document. So you can select all the text, and that's the same as if you select the text frame, and then everything inserted will cover all the tab signs in this column or in this column. It depends on the first tab sign normally cover the first column of tabs. The second tab sign will normally cover the second column of tabs. Okay, select that and click the magnet again. Then the panel will jump to the right position. This time, for the first column, we want to use a line on decimal, I guess. Well, for both, actually, for both. So we select everything, and we don't need this one, so you can go to here, clear all, or you can simply drag and delete it. And then let's add another one. Add a tab sign here, change it into aligned to decimal. So you can see right now the numbers are lined up based on all the decimals are being on exactly the same line. and but that's again governing the first tab sign governs the first column of tabs, and then let's add another one here, and this one governs this column of tabs. So if you look at those numbers, they are all lined up based on the decimals are in again exactly the same line. So that's the exercise 3, shows how we can work with the tabs, the aligned on decimal tab. Now let's look at exercise 4. Exercise 4 is a very interesting exercise. We can, so again, we're going to use the aligned on decimal, but choose a very interesting function here. So let's select the document and then click here so that the text will jump to the right position, even though this is a 2-column text. So even though the tab panel only covers the first column, but since the whole text frame is selected, so whatever we make it happen here on the first column, it will also happen on the second column. And now this time we're going to align the text based on the dollar signs. So let's insert a, we have the tab signs here already, if you can see, and then let's insert a tab stop sign. Okay, and this is a aligned on decimal, but we do not want to see. If you look at it here, make it larger, you can see there's a dot here, that's the decimal, but we are not align the text based on the decimal this time. Instead, we're going to align the text based on the dollar sign. So let's put a dollar sign here. I just press Shift and to call out the dollar sign, and then let's say return. Okay, now you can see that all the tags are aligned up based on the dollar signs. And this is a very useful technique for the restaurants. When you work for some restaurant, you create some menus, and isn't it beautiful if you align the content based on the dollar signs? It's beautiful and make things easier to read. So that's exercise 4. You can, if you want, you can change it to align on other signs, dollar signs, decimals, or brackets, or any other signs. You just change this align on to different symbols. That will work. So that's exercise 4. Now let's look at exercise 5. Again, you wanted to put your name here. I don't need the here. Exercise 5 is basically you can put a red indent tab and automatically change the text to the red. You can also clearly you can select the text and then insert a left tab here. You need to insert all the tab signs here because there's no tab signs here, so you just insert a left tab stop sign. It doesn't work. But an easier way to do it, let's clean this. An easy way to do it is that you simply put your cursor here. Let's say we want to move those 3 lines to the right. Simply put your cursor over there and then press we can insert or let's say we can press Control, click, and insert special characters. let's say supposed to be others tabs and red indent tab, so we can simply insert that over there. Look at the heading character of the red indent tab, and it looks like this. An easy way to do is you simply press Shift and Tab, and it will be easier, right? Shift and Tab, so we can move the lines to the right. Well, that's exercise 5. Exercise 6 is to use the indent to here function. The indent to here function is a very useful function. It's easy to learn, so let's see. Remember here, it's just to use command backslash or control backslash if you are using a PC. You notice that the first line here is different from the second line, because the first line, the first paragraph actually, if you look at the second line of the first paragraph, it starts from here. But if you look at this paragraph, it starts from here, so it's not very neat. How can you make it the second paragraph also start from here, not from here? Just to put a cursor anywhere you want the text to second line or the rest of the paragraph to start with, and then press command backslash sign. That's called an indent here. If you see here, you will see a heading character of the indent here. I can make it larger, and you see it is over there. Or if you want to say I want to start it from here, you can also make it starting from over there. But normally we want to start it from here. That's called an indent, starting from here. And you will notice actually use this method to create a APA style is much easier than the method that we discussed last time. That is exercise 6. Now let's look at exercise 7, which is a very easy way to create the alphabet. In exercise 7, we can just put our cursor here and let's see what if we select this document and then let's say we're going to insert a tab stop sign here. Let's change it into left tab stop sign. Once we have a tab stop sign here, then we can click the menu, repeat tab, and see we have many tabs here. Maybe we have too many of them here, so let's take off every other. This one I don't want it. This one I don't want it. So every other tab signs. Yeah, so this one, okay. And then we tap a B and insert a tab and then a B. Insert a tab and then C. Insert tab a D, tab E, tab F, tab G. Now it's the end of the line, so we need to insert a return, and then tab A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Tab O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And now if you look at it, we've created a terrific alphabet table. If we use preview mode, you see it's very neat, lined up perfectly. So that's exercise 7, and then let's look at exercise 8. Let's again select the text frame, click here, so that the panel jump to the right position. In exercise 8, we wanted to insert a, since the tabs are in here, actually, so the tabs only governs the second column of text. The first column of text, they're in the right position already. We don't need to worry about them. So let's insert a look at the textbook on page 125. So we're supposed to insert a left, not right, left justified tab stop sign. Notice that when it's right or left, then align on is grayed out, so you cannot choose this one. Only when you are using align on decimal, then you can align the text based on special characters. But right now here there is a cell here that we can work on is, and let's say it's called leader. Let's say we're going to put a dot and then a space here and then press return. Now you can see that those two columns of text, the second column is aligned on the right, and also we add some dots between those two columns. Looks very beautiful. This is a very useful technique when you create some menu or when you create some table of content for the books. Why we put a dot and a space? And if you do not, let's say if you do not put a space, you just put a dot and then return. Notice this is also fun. Only the dot, there's so many of them. If you like it, that's fine. If you don't like it, you can put a space and make it less intense here, so it may be beautiful. Well, you probably figured that if you want, you can also put a equal or plus. Let's say you put a equal and space, and then it will connect it with the equal signs or plus signs if you want, and it will looks like this. So let's make it back to the dots, and that's exercise 8. It's also again a very useful function. The last exercise is similar to exercise 8. So we are going to add some lines into the card. So let's select. We notice that for the first 3 lines here, they are only 1 tab sign, but for this one, there are 3 of them actually. So let's work on the first 3 lines first, and then we're going to work on the last line. So select the first 3 lines, again click here to make sure that it jump to the right position, and then let's create a tab stop sign, move it to here. It's the right position that you want it to be. And then on this one, we're going to add a underline. So press Shift and hyphen, and see we create exactly what we want to create here. For the last line, notice that we only want the right stop sign to be here, not here. So let's select the last line and insert the first tab stop sign in the middle. And also we need a end line here. Good. So let's make a line. We found the first part is satisfied, so let's make a line here. still select this line and insert another tab stop sign, you will find that actually the zip goes to here. It's interesting. It's not what we want. But if you select this tab stop sign here, well, actually moved to here. Actually, and add a sign here. You will see it's not what we want. And why is that? Because recall that there are two tab signs here, and when you add the first tab stop sign, it covers this one. When you add the second one, it covers this one. So it does not cover this one. You need to add the third one to cover this one. And that actually tells us we don't need an actual tab here. So let's delete this thing. And now let's add another one. And you will see this time it works, because we take out the actual tab sign. This is pretty much what we want. Okay, that's an exercise to show that how we can work with the tabs. And now let's do a little bit of exercise on how we can create tables. So let's use a little bit of space here. InDesign created a lot of use functions for we to work on the tables. When we create a table, now let's close this one since we're done with the tabs. When we create a table, you can click here and insert a table, or the other way is that when you have some text here, you can convert the text into tables. But notice that when you click the table function, the insert table function here is not usable right now, because we cannot simply create a table on the document. A table is treated as a text, so we have to create a text frame first, and then insert a table into the text frame. You can choose the body rows and the column rows. Let's say we want to have 4 rows and 3 columns, and that's the table that you can create it. And then you can put the content here, content here, content here. So that's the first way of create a table. You just create a text frame and insert the table over there. The second way of creating a table is that, let's say you have some text here. Let's create a text. We call it table 1 and return. And then let's say we have some text. Let's see, maybe we have a existing document here that we can use. Not really. Okay, so let's continue to create something. Let's say we're going to create a table in page 133 of the textbook. So we have grade first. And then we have percent value. Let's see, percent. And then we have point value. Just point, and then return grade A, Normally the percentage is 90. In the textbook is 95 to 100. In our case, A is 90 to 100%. As the point, let's say if you have 1000, that will be from 9. Or in our case, it'll be 900 to 1000. And then a B would be 80 to 90%. And then 800 to 900 points. This is not right here. Okay, so we have a text here, and select the text and go to table, convert text into table. Column separators are tabs because we actually separate all the columns with the tab sign, and other choices may be comma or paragraph sign. So if let's say if you put a comma between here and here, between here and here, between here and here, and then you can choose comma in that case. So we leave it tab. Row separate is the paragraph sign, is the hot return sign here. So keep that as default again. And we want a, let's say we want a basic table, so say OK. And now we have a table here. So that's the second way of creating a table. When you have a table here, notice that you can resize the table. When you want to resize the table, you first of all you need to select a table. And this way, when you see the cursor of this, you are selecting the rows. You can select the columns. And when you want to select the whole table, put it here, you see a slant arrow and select it. That way you select the whole table. And when you select the whole table, you can change the size, resize the table like this. You can also resize the depth of each row or each column. So play with it. Oh, here, so when you just click this border and move it, you see that you resize the depth of this row. At the same, you change the depth of the whole table. What if you say, I want just to move this border within the table, but I do not want to change the size of the table? In that case, you press Shift and move it. And so you just move the just influence those two rows, and the whole table remains the same size. And if you want to delete a column, put your cursor here, select it, and press Control, call out the context menu. And you have the option of merge cells, split cells, distribute rows evenly, and distributed the columns evenly if you select the columns. And you have all the other functions here. Delete, you can delete a row. You can insert a actual row or column in that case. You can also work on the cells and the tables. So those are very useful functions. We're going to look at those functions very soon. And you can select the rows and the columns. You can also select just a cell. Now in this case, you select the whole cell. When you select the cell, notice that the control panel has been changed. And this is the control panel this is the character control panel, paragraph control panel. When you just selected text, see here, you just selected text, the control panel will not change at all. But when you select the whole cell, notice the control panel has been changed. This is what we call the cell formatting control panel. You can rotate the text. We rotate the text here, rotate it, get it back. You can change the position of the text, put it here, put it in the middle normally. You can split the table, split the rows. You have many functions that can work with the table. And now let's say if we want to increase the weight of this table, cell, actually you see we increase the weight of the stroke of that cell. You can change the style. Let's say we change the style to this. You can also change the color. See, we change the everything of this cell. You can also give it a fill color, so that's how it looks like. And notice that when you give a fill to a table, you can change the tint. And now it's 100, but you can make it to 30% as a tint. So you still have some yellow color here, but it's not very thick, so that it can block the text. And that's the cell you can work with that's the function you can work with the cells. You can also select the whole table, and then now you will see the table functions. All of those functions here, if you press Control, and you can also find it from the table options and the cell options. Or if you select the table, go to Table. Here you can also find all the functions here from here. The cell table options are all the cell options. So let's select the table. Now look at the table options. Let's say we want let's go to the table function. It will be probably better if we go to the table function. Table setup, and you will see the table functions here. We want the table to have and this is the number of lines and columns. Click preview so that we can see any change that we're going to make it here. Table border, let's say we want a 2-point tab. Let's say we want dot, and then color of the stroke. Let's say we want it blue, and say OK. And then that's how we change the table. And if you go to preview mode, you will see that the table strokes has been changed. If you want to change the strokes here, you have to work within the cell options. So let's go back, select it, go back to the normal mode, and then call out the table options again. Table setup, strokes. Let's say we want this is the column. Let's say we wanted a automate every other, and then let's say we want to choose this is for the stroke. Let's see the let's choose the fields. Alternate every other, color. So the first row we want to use a green color, a tint, let's say 30%, and then the next row we want to use red, 30 also. So that we will actually change the table looks like this. Let's say we want to distribute the rows evenly. Okay, so the table looks better right now. And when we are working on a table, one thing that we want to talk about is that let's say if you select a table and press Control card the context menu, you will notice that there is a, okay, not here. You will notice here that if you select the row, you will see it has a function that you can convert that row into header rows. Or if you select the last row, there will be a function called convert to footer rows. So what does footer rows and header rows mean? Let's take a look. Let's say we have a table 1. The table 1 normally is a title of the table. So let's select this column and merge the cells, make it one row, and then let's call the context menu, convert it into header rows. Okay, now that's header rows. And here, let's add one more row. So we insert a row. We'll just insert one row below that row. And you see that there's a red box, which means the row is there. We just do not have enough space in the text frame, so that we can see it. So now we can make the text frame larger. That way we can see it. Okay, and then we have one more extra row here. Let's merge it also. Merge cells. Let's say we're going to put some note here. This is a grading scale table. Okay. Now, remember this row has been changed into header row, but this one we haven't changed it into footer row. So what will happen is that if your table is too large, that the table cannot be put in one text frame, like here. You see that there's a red box, which means the table is too large, that it cannot be put into one text frame. You need to create another text frame or another page to put the whole table in. And notice that the header row repeated itself in the next page. But the footer row, we didn't really, the last row, we didn't change it into a footer row, so it's not repeated. And when you read this, the table in the first page, you get to see the header row, but you don't get to see the last row. And here, you see the header row as well as the last row. If you want the header row and the last row to repeat themselves in every page, then you need to change the last row into a footer row. So convert it into footer rows. When you convert it into footer rows, you see it changes itself in every page. So that's the function of the header row and the footer row. They repeat themselves in every page so that you don't need to explain your table in every page in case you have a very large page. Okay, that's the content of a table and tabs in the table for chapter 5. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.